I envisioned, and I shared it with Courtney as well as with Joseph, I envisioned Tommy getting caught up in, and Ghost had decidedly, after trying every turn, when Ghost decidedly felt like every turn I've gone left, right, backwards, forward, sideways, whatever, up, down, I did leave it all on the field, and it's still not working for me the way I wanted it to work for me. So after that, exhausting all of the options to be bigger and to be everything he wanted to be, what makes him so addictive is that we all can relate to someone so grounded, they never get too big for their britches. The britches of which they put on when they first started. Tommy is that. You started with Tommy. What I envisioned was me having to go give a life for a life. And I said, instead of Romeo and Juliet, it's like Romeo and Romeo. I got in the Bible one day and I said, oh, he's Saul, awaiting God striking him off the horse for being such a bad. And not bad isn't good. And now he's hit by the light, and now he's Paul. But if we can make it to the point where we never see him quite make it to that status of being the elevated one, then we would keep watching every Sunday because we're rooting for him to get to that place. That was my whole mission with the guy. So for me, part of getting cut short, no, he almost made it, would be to go save Tommy. Because I still got everybody's affinity, their empathy, their, man, I feel bad for the cat. That's how I envision him going out. And by the way, Fred, had I left it all on the floor in that way, I don't necessarily know if the fans would be so fanatical about my return. Because it would have all been there. Right.
What's going on, everyone? It's Just Be here. And as you guys know, for pretty much the last year, I've been working on a project to correct the original ending of Power. I was working on it to help give some fans some closure to the overall story. But now let's ask the question, firstly, before we get into the video, why does it need to be rewritten? You see, the last season of Power was filled with so many sudden shifts in tone from the first 5 seasons, mainly because the original intent was to end the show after 5 seasons, resulting in the death of Kanan and Ghost. So now the writers had to create and justify a story that could come to a compelling conclusion that wasn't originally intended. Now, the problem for me isn't that they killed off Ghost's character, it's how they did it and the unanswered questions that lingered around his death. Even to this day, you have so many fans that frequently say, bring Ghost back, bring Ghost back. And the question is why? Well, because there is a disbelief in not that he needed to go as a character, but how he went out without a satisfying conclusion. Having Tariq be the person who killed his father, him dropping bombs like what happened to Breeze, and then turning Ghost into someone that would put his hands on his wife, it seemed like something so off base, so out of character for someone that we watched for the last 5 seasons. So if there was more meaning behind it, such as maybe him growing up in an abusive environment and having those tendencies, we needed to at least see some more of that to have some more context. I think that we needed to understand why Ghost's Uncle Gabe, whom we never met, just appeared out of nowhere in episode 10 of season 6, owning this bar that Ghost comes to buy. So to me, it's like, okay, so who and where are Ghost's parents? Are they still alive? Does he have siblings we don't know about? Does Gabe have children? Who are Ghost's cousins? Where did Ghost grow up? I mean, we know South Jamaica, Queens, but can we get a little bit more deeper into that? How did he meet Tasha? All of these are unanswered questions that need to have some sort of clarity in order for us to have a satisfying conclusion to the show to set up the potential spin-offs that we inevitably got. Now, the show started with us seeing James at a level of success, both in the drug world and the professional world. But the question is, how did he get there? Now, I'm sure a lot of these things will be answered in Origins, if we still get Origins. But we still need right now to peel back those layers to appreciate the character's entire arc, including his ending. And the biggest thing, in my opinion, isn't even that part. It's how the writers were seemingly trying to make Tariq into Ghost 2.0 by having such strong parallels to his father, almost as if they're trying to make it seem like, okay, we're going to continue the show without Omari due to behind the scenes reasons. See my previous video on that. So we're just going to let him live on through Tariq and let people sort of make their own conclusions about the commonalities between them and continue Ghost through him. So to me, that means that Tariq can never really be his own man and have his own exclusive story, independent of comparisons to his father. Things like Tariq's beef with Ghost, his beef with Tasha, and his beef with Tommy was primarily due to the fact that they lied to him his whole life and he just wanted answers. He didn't condemn the drug game, he just didn't like being lied to. He wanted to feel understood and also wanted to understand what was going on. That's it. And so that gives me an idea of how we can rewrite the original ending of Power. Now, how do we rewrite this? First, we have to realize what the purpose of Power actually is, who the character of James St. Patrick is. He, in my opinion, is a direct parallel to the Walter White character from Breaking Bad. If you guys haven't watched that show, amazing show, definitely check it out. But Walter White was a family man and a teacher who got terminally ill with cancer and had to decide to make money through drugs to pay for treatments and leave behind enough for his family to be secure when he's gone. Throughout the course of Breaking Bad, we see him going from being the slightly awkward, bumbling teacher who's a by-the-book guy who doesn't know much about this world to someone who becomes one of the biggest meth dealers in the entire country because he came to like the power that he had. And this is why the show was called Breaking Bad. In the last moments of the show, we saw him having been exposed as the infamous Heisenberg, with him being on the run from the feds, his friends and family having turned against him. He has to get a new identity, he has to change his appearance, and he has to move far away from civilization. But something causes him to come back, save his former business partner's Jesse's life from a crew that had him kidnapped and working for them as a slave, and then he ends up killing them all, and in the end he dies from a bullet in the ensuing shootout. And to me, he got the just reward for all he did in a way that was satisfying. The same is parallel for the character of Ghost. I think he is breaking good. And this is made clear from the first season of the show. He's a family man, yet he's a dangerous and successful drug dealer, wanting to be a legitimate businessman and even a politician at some point with no ties to the drug world. And all so that he can leave a better legacy behind for his family. Now you guys can see the parallels, Breaking Bad and Breaking Good. So the dichotomy between these two characters and their journeys really should set up how to end Power effectively. Next, I think we need to erase the last 7 to 10 episodes of season 6, which had a total of 15 episodes, and then that takes us back to a few key storylines. So at this point in the timeline, a lot's going on, but to really simplify it, Tommy and Ghost were still out to delete each other after Tommy took out Angela. Then they were forced to work together by Jason Mičić, who was this major Serbian mafia antagonist since season 4, brewing in the background that they were afraid of, but Tommy also needed. So his potential was wasted inevitably because the writers couldn't figure out how to land the plane properly for his story. And then Ghost was preparing to run for lieutenant governor alongside Rashad Tate. Tommy and Keisha got a new house. Tasha and Ghost were separated, and she was running a daycare while also moving some weight through it. Tariq was stealing from Tommy and also dealing on the side. And then lastly, the feds were closing in on everyone, but they really needed something to stick. So these are the primary storylines that were going at this point in the timeline. And here's where my rewrite comes in. So here we go. Part 1, Deal with the Devil. So this takes place in episode 608 with the same title, and where Ghost plans to go ahead and kill Jason Mičić. So for the purposes of continuity, all other storylines that I don't explicitly mention that is being rewritten still happens in this timeline. That means everything happening with Tasha, Tariq, Dre, Lakeisha, Tate is still canon, but many of those will end up not mattering anymore because all the storylines will start to converge, and you'll see why. Ghost ends up luring Jason to a building he wanted him to invest in, while not knowing that this was a plan all along of Ghost to actually take him out. In the elevator, as they're heading up to see the space that Ghost's talking about, Jason ends up getting the drop on Ghost after Dre tips him off earlier about Ghost and Tommy's plans. Jason ends up using the cable from his watch in the same fight that actually happened on the show to choke Ghost, who struggles to break free. Jason says to him, "You thought that you can take me down," and he ends up overpowering Ghost and leaves him unconscious at the top of the elevator and makes his way to escape, while he's aware that the security guard downstairs is likely paid off. So at the rooftop at night, where Ghost lies unconscious, we see blood dripping from his mouth. He ends up awakening him to find himself on the rooftop. He grabs his phone and he's very, very frightened. He calls Tommy and says, "Tommy, Jason knows everything. He's coming for us. We need to move now." Then we get a side-by-side shot of Tommy and Ghost on the phone with each other, while Ghost is staring at the night sky on the rooftop, visibly frightened and visibly angry. He tells Tommy, "We have to get out of New York right now." With an annoyed expression, Tommy asks him, "What the hell did you do now, Ghost?" "Tommy, just get to Keisha and keep her safe. I'll hit you back," he replies. We then see Tommy speeding away in his car. His face is a mixture of anger and urgency. He's heading back to he and Lakeisha's house in order to protect her and Cash from what may be retaliation from Jason. Everything now happening in hyper time as everyone is scrambling to protect the people that they love. We cut to Tasha in her living room on the phone with Ghost, and Yaz is nearby. Ghost calls her and says, "Tasha, we have to get out of New York right now. Grab Yaz and meet me at Truth and stay there. I sent a car service to pick up Tariq from Choate and meet me so I can pick him up." This is important context because Choate is actually some distance away from the central part of New York. And so to be realistic, that is the way in which we include Tariq in the story. Tasha asks him, "What's going on, Ghost?" To which he replies, "It's Jason. I tried to take him out and he got the drop on me. He's probably coming for everyone right now. We need to get clear of the city and make a plan, but Truth is too public for him to make a move there." We then fast forward some time later, as after Ghost has picked up Tariq and Tasha has made her way to Club Truth. They see her car parked out front, and we see Ghost driving down the road with Tariq in the passenger seat. Tariq asks him, "Isn't that Mom's car?" To which he replies, "Yeah, she's already inside." And then the unthinkable happens. We see a massive explosion as Club Truth erupts in flames. Ghost is shocked, and with tears running down his face, he screams out in a loud voice, howling, while he falls to his knees in disbelief and screaming at the top of his lungs. In an instant, everything Ghost has built and fought to protect is destroyed. Tariq is onlooking and seeing this in disbelief and cries and screams himself. But Tariq is vigilant enough to see that down the road, he ends up spotting some black SUVs coming and manages to pull up his father off the ground. He tells him, "Dad, we gotta go. They're coming for us." So Ghost and Tariq hop in the SUV and speed off in the other direction. While trying to escape Jason's men, Jason calls Ghost on the phone and simply says, "And I'm not finished. You're next, and I won't stop until you're dead. I'm going to kill everyone you love." It's in this moment that he fully realizes that Tasha and Yaz are gone. We cut to Ghost calling Tommy to warn him again. An annoyed Tommy again picks up the phone and asks, "The hell do you want, Ghost?" To which he replies, "Tommy, it's Yaz. It's Yaz and Tasha. Jason just made a move on us. Me and Tariq got away, but they're gone, Tommy. They're gone." Tommy stops and looks in disbelief and shocked, and Ghost tells her Lakeisha may be in trouble. Get home now and get out of the city. To which we see Tommy has just gotten home. He walks inside, but we're shocked to see that Lakeisha is on the floor with a gun pressed to her head by Drago, who is Jason's right-hand man, who we were also introduced to in the show. While Cash sits frozen on the couch, scared and surrounded by Jason's armed men. Tommy shouts out her name, Keisha, and then we see Drago holding up the phone on speaker with Jason on it, and he goes on to say, "I warned you and Ghost multiple times. You knew the rules and still chose to break them. And this is the result of thinking that you can get one over on me." Tommy replies to him, "Jason, I'm begging you, man. Kill me, but not her. She's a mother. She has nothing to do with this." And then Jason, not caring at all, simply says, "Do it, Drago." Lakeisha, accepting her fate, tells Tommy, "Tommy, please just promise to look after Cash for me." And in that moment, Drago shoots Lakeisha point blank in the head as Tommy watches in horror. And in that moment, his entire world collapses in an instant. He screams at the top of his lungs, calling out Keisha's name. He quickly draws his weapon, shoots back at Drago strategically and the rest of Jason's men, simply so he can grab Cash as fast as he can. He ends up taking out two of the goons and escapes with Cash into his car, determined to avenge Keisha somehow. We cut to Tommy speeding off in his Mustang, and Ghost and Tariq in the SUV, both on the phone with each other. Both men, sad and broken, having lost everything, and Tariq and Cash both crying and sad as well. While talking to each other on the phone, unsure of where they're headed, Tommy tells him, "Ghost, I was too late." And Ghost, again in disbelief, "Tommy, no, man." He tells him that mother, Jason, he just killed Lakeisha in front of me, in front of Cash. "Ghost, it was, what do we do now, Ghost?" He knows all our moves. Ghost tells him, "We gotta get out of Dodge. We gotta get out of New York. I'll text you a safe location." We see both men headed on the highway out of New York, and we see Ghost now picks up his phone and calls someone else, and a name we have never heard before Uncle G, it's Jamie. I need your help. I'm coming home. And that concludes the first part of this new series, which I'm going to split up into a few videos called How Power Should Have Ended. A lot of hard work went into writing this. A lot of hard work went into the artist designing it to make it look exactly like the characters as closely as possible, and also research into making sure that the story made sense and it fit within the canon as closely as it could. Look out for part 2 coming soon, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about the story in the comments and where you think it's going to be heading next. And if you derived any value from this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Until next time, see you in part 2. Peace.